Are you afraid to use the front brake because this might happen? Well, chances are you're making the one critical mistake, and that is stabbing at the front brake. And this causes you to either slow down so you don't have to brake as much, whether it's coming up to a tight turn that you don't know what's around the corner, so you have to slow down, or it's causing you to use more rear brake. And this also causes you to slide out as well, because when you use too much rear brake, you don't have as much braking power, and this locks up the rear wheel. It can stall the engine, or it can slide out. But if you're using too much front brake, then you can wash out the front wheel. So what do you do to prevent this? Well, having proper traction is one of the most important factors to not only riding safely in control so your tires don't wash out, but it gives you more confidence. And it's one of the biggest things that I teach in my virtual dirt biker school. And when you don't have traction while braking, this makes it more likely for you to slide out the wheels. And when you don't have that confidence, you ride tense, you have to ride slower, and this makes it harder to have more fun, and you won't be able to keep up with your faster riding buddies. Or if you're just starting out, then you're gonna have a hard time just keeping up with your kids or your spouse. But don't worry, this is a super common problem. So what do I mean by stabbing at the front brake? Well, most people are afraid to use the front brake because the front tire might either lock up and wash out on them, or they're maybe afraid of endoing. So what the mistake is, people, they come up to a tight corner on the trail and they don't know what's around the corner, so it turns into an emergency mode. And what they do is they grab at the front brake and they stab at it. So just quickly grab at it because they want to brake really fast so that you don't fly off the trail or run into a tree, or you just don't know what's around the next corner. So what happens when you stab at the front brake, you just grab it, is this tries to slow down the front tire too quickly. And when you try to slow it down too quickly, too soon, this is more likely to lock up the rear wheel and wash out because not enough weight is transferred forward. So when you initially press the brake, the weight of you and the bike is going to start to compress the front forks, and this is going to put more weight on the front tire. And when more weight is on the front tire, you are going to have more traction, allowing you to slow down faster. But if you press it too soon, too hard too soon, then not enough weight is going to be on the tire to slow you down, to keep that full traction. So instead of stabbing at the front brake, what you need to do is practicing lightly, smoothly pulling in the front brake. And as the weight transfers onto the tire, the more you can pull in the front brake and slow down. So it's just that first initial bite of the braking. So once your weight transfers forward, then you can clamp down hard on the brakes. And another mistake is that just because you practice this once or twice or 5 times doesn't mean you're actually going to do that when it comes to an emergency trail situation. For example, if you practice it 5 times today and then you go out next week to trail ride and you come up to a section where you don't know what's around the corner, you have to slam on the brakes, you're probably still going to do what you used to do, which is stabbing at the front brake. So instead, you need to practice this every time you go out and ride. You need to build up that muscle memory so that it becomes natural to slowly, smoothly press in the brake and then clamp down hard once the front tire gets traction. The front brake is about 80 to 90% of your braking power most of the time, but if you want to be the most efficient, then you also need to learn how to use the rear brake properly. So check out my video on the rear brake technique here. This is Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more, so that you can stay safe and have fun for many years to come with your friends and family.